We are going live, apparently. Hello and welcome to, well, we haven't done one of these for ages, have we? And let me introduce everyone. Dan, good to see you. We are here with Dan Adams, who is the Paint All the Minis guy. So what's your elevator pitch?
It's a place to post your paint. It needs to be one floor elevator pitch.
You still there, James?
Beautiful pause.
He's got away with that. He's got away without the unfortunate pause there, hasn't he? Yeah, he's back.
Hello.
Yeah, we got you again.
Hello.
We got you again.
Definite technical difficulties going on here. Yeah, no, I've got a boring Wi-Fi issue where I'm getting all kinds of weird audio.
I've lost James completely now. Best laid plans and all that. While we're waiting for James, what have you guys been getting up to recently?
Oh, I think James.
Hobby-wise. Oh, you with us, James?
Yes and no. As soon as I log in, I suddenly get like lots of audio echo. I can hear everything I've said and you guys have said over and over again on like crazy repeat.
That fix it?
So now we seem to be okay momentarily. I don't know if we're actually still broadcasting or not.
Yeah, technical problems, but
Yeah, I think we're still broadcasting. Can the guys in the chat just somebody let us know you can hear us properly? Yeah, they can hear us. We're good.
I cannot tell you how much of an effort it was to set this whole thing up already. Good. So I still have an issue.
Are you hearing feedback through the YouTube player as well? Is that why you're hearing echoes, James?
No, it's definitely way more serious than that, because I've got a headset in and all the sound except for the Zoom chat is switched off. I'm not sure what's going on. I think it's because I'm bouncing between a Wi-Fi extender Wi-Fi signal and the one next to my router, which is literally in the corner there. So you'd think it would connect to the nearest one, but I'm trying to forget the other one.
So this is the problem with best laid plans. So.
You'd think there'd be professionals or something to do this. I mean, come on, what?
Although I've never used Zoom, and I'd never actually heard of it until all of this COVID-19 stuff, and all of a sudden, everyone I know, even my mum was saying about it, and that for me is
I've used
automatically.
It for yeah. Stuff, and you don't. It's better than Skype. You can just plug in from online, so that's cool.
Yeah, my company's been using it for a couple of years now.
So I guess while James is still trying to sort out any audio issues and stuff like that, we go back to your question, Simon. You were saying about
So what have you guys been getting up to? I've had a couple of guys respond in the chat, things they're working on. What are you guys working on from a hobby perspective? Dan, obviously you're working on towards paint all the minis.
Yeah, I'm just painting up some Shadespire guys, some Warhammer Underworld Shadespire. I'm kind of displaced, sounds very dramatic, but I'm kind of displaced from my normal home. So I was looking for like a genuine kind of coffee tabletop game to play. So I kind of sifted through a few and I managed to pick up for a decent price. So yeah, I'm just painting up the second warband. I've got like the angry guys, there's like shiny gold guys and angry guys. Yeah, so yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment. Just in the shed, you'll notice that there are various bits of furniture in the background. I need to get some sort of back in that makes it a little bit more professional. But yeah, so I'm just down the shed doing some painting.
Having kicks out into the cold.
Nice.
What have you been up to, Sean?
A little of the same. I was prepping for Adepticon to run the last year's winter campaign. The Mount Mizuna thing as a one-night event, all 4 games in one night.
Fantastic.
So I've got the special train for that. I had it all ready to go. Unfortunately, of course, we are now at Adepticon at home or Adepticon, whatever your flavor is.
Exactly. But 2021's well ahead on preparation.
Yeah, I'm ready for 2021 or something. But I guess kind of like Dan. Hi, Dan. Nice to meet you. I am going to take advantage of online gaming with Sean Sutter's game Relic Blade.
Oh yeah.
Super fun. And he has posted the digital downloads on a nice discount. So I'm going to join a tabletop simulator campaign for that.
Awesome.
Along with trying to get finally all my Drowned Earth stuff painted and again ready for next year.
Perfect.
How about you, Tom? What's up?
Are the kids letting you get any painting in?
My kids sometimes let me get a small window of opportunity, mostly when they're in bed and not screaming at me. Actually, I'm working on Aranax from the Wayfarers at the moment, so
excellent.
I just kind of wanted to get as many of them done. So he's just here at the moment.
Excellent. Are you using the proper rules or the ones that we originally started with, where it was like the biggest
unfortunately,
damage in the history of the world?
the biggest effing hand cannon the world's ever seen that the guy was armed with to begin with would be great. But no, I do love the model though. So and I've the only stuff I'm waiting on is just trying to get some stuff to do water effects. Unfortunately, I'd run out, and at the moment, trying to get orders and get stuff delivered is proving a little bit difficult. So
awesome. I don't think you're the only one working on Wayfarers. One of the guys, Jai, in the chat, he's also just put together his Wayfarers. He's about to get some paint on them, apparently. So they seem to be a hot topic at the moment.
Yeah, so I don't know if James is still having some audio issues or if
No,
he's able to join.
I think I've sorted my issues
Excellent.
out. I had to log out and forget the Wi-Fi extender signal, whatever you call it, but it's been on the blink for ages and it's just not coping very well with the current amount of traffic, and the laptop keeps on bouncing backwards and forwards between the two. So I was getting all kinds of weird loops and echoes and bizarre things. But yeah, should be all sorted now. Thank you for
Excellent.
the home fires burning while I was sorting out toothing issues.
No worries. No worries.
But I should just explain that, I mean, you guys know, but one of the reasons why we haven't done one of these for nearly a year, and we were doing them every month for about 4 months. And YouTube discontinued the functionality that we were using, which was called Hangouts on Air. So you could basically just run a Google Hangout and live broadcast it. And it was super easy to do. And so when that went, I just didn't have the time to kind of devote to finding an alternate method, or at least I tried several times, and all of the methods I found ended up being way more involved. But with all of this sort of virus quarantine stuff, I felt like it was a really, and some of you guys suggested as well, it would be a really great time to start these up again and sort of, have a little hangout on a weekly basis with a rotating group of guys, and having a chat, keeping an eye on the chat on YouTube, and just generally sort of connecting with people.
Yeah. And we can always try and squeeze a few teasers every now and then as well.
Yeah. Well, you never know. I mean, so really, we a bit of a crunchy start, but hopefully we should be sorted now. What we're doing is, this is effectively a Zoom call, and there is a way, if you pay for a superior account, to do more or less exactly what we did with Google Hangouts, but with Zoom instead. And so it was a bit of a faff to get it organized. It took me about half a day of struggling through the internet, basically trying to find a sensible way of doing it. Basically what I mostly was finding was ways to do it the old way, because of course they're still listing really highly on Google. But eventually we got there, and here we are. So welcome and hello.
Hello.
Well, so I mean, I suppose we should all introduce ourselves, shouldn't we? For people who haven't watched before. Sean, you've only been on once. So Sean Galligan from Illinois, are you at the moment, or are you moved?
I am now up in Wisconsin.
Right.
So headed up early to be ready for the summer job and be close. Unfortunately, because of everything, I might have been a little overly anxious and got out right before the midnight deadline of Illinois' shelter in place.
Excellent. I'm imagining scenes from what's that old film? Is it King of New York?
What it felt like to me was either Independence Day or some other movie, personally, where I'm like, shove it in, clean up the apartment, get out. Probably would have not been the best thing, but yeah. And you see me around chatting a lot on the Facebook group, helping Mac to run the group and get everybody excited about the gaming.
Yep, not to mention heading out our Wayfarers program over your side of the Atlantic in America and Canada. Yeah,
I'm hearing a lot of the War Cradle distribution. I've seen a lot of new chatter on the Facebook group. I've been talking to some friends that want to now get in, or more interested in being a Wayfarer and getting the game out there now that they know that they can get people at their stores easier. So that's good for America. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's great over here as well. You know, that distribution has been something we've been trying to crack for ages. And you often get asked the question, it's sort of like almost accusingly, why haven't you got distribution? And it's like,
there's nothing you can do about it. You can't engineer that. You can try and be as proactive as possible, talking to people and trying to get them interested. But at the end of the day, we are a shop that's open for business, and a distributor is a customer. You know, we can't make them buy it. But you know, hopefully we're heading in that direction. Of course, Virageddon is perfect timing for that, because we've literally just got the distribution deal, and here in the UK anyway, it looks like all of the brick and mortar stores are going to have to close for however long. Mail order businesses are still operating. We are still operating. Go to the website and buy something if you want to. I'm starving here, but you know, generally, you know, it'll be fine in the long run, I'm sure. But it's good even just to be able to say that we've got that kind of global distribution now, and the fact that shop owners and hobbyists can talk to War Cradle and get the stuff in locally, so that they don't, particularly for you guys over in the States, you don't have to buy it direct from our website and have it sent over. You know, if you're going to spend £100, then there's no problem in doing that. It's free postage. But if you just want to buy a few models, you want to buy the latest releases or what have you, I understand that can be a bit difficult.
Yeah, that'll definitely help, and also help with being able to showcase it.
Sure. So we're also here with Simon, who is basically he's Sean, but the British version of Sean.
The not so glamorous version of Sean.
Well, we're not going to play favourites on that department, I don't think. Yeah, you could sport a glamorous beard as he does if you fancy.
I could. I'll do my best for the next one. So we're all going to be growing lock-in beards by the end of this, I think. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I was joking with my other half about that today, because she's actually working from the seat that I'm sitting on. This is my desk, but I'm relegated to some of the fold-out tables that we take to fairs over the other side of the room, and basically the living room's turned into home office. And I was sort of saying, you know, I have a feeling that in a few weeks' time we'll be sitting there with, like, you know, in our pajamas with like hair out here, unwashed, semi-feral.
Beards and babies, that's what we're gonna get.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot of December and January babies. Yeah,
I think you're probably spot on with that one. It's this. Yeah, when you start watching the same TV show for the 75th time, and you realise that you've probably watched everything on Netflix that he has to offer, it's probably that's the problem.
That's it.
Although other video streaming services are available.
Yeah, I noticed on my Netflix Disney Plus suddenly turned up as one of the, you know, they've started pushing it now. I say Netflix, I'm in on the PlayStation network. Which is what I get my Netflix through. So we're also here with Tom, one of our beta testers, who used to be Tom, known as Bob in Geneva, but is now back in London.
Yes, I chose a great time to move back to the UK from a place where everyone's prepped for disasters, because everyone in Switzerland has bunkers full of food and supplies. And then I come back to London, where toilet rolls are now the universal currency of choice. So.
Is it an urban myth, or do the Swiss really all have to go and do like 2 weeks army service every year?
Yeah, a lot of them do. They do their national service because I think it's more like they treat it like it's a holiday camp for the summer.
Yeah, I mean the world famous Swiss Army, considering, I mean, famous for knives and neutrality.
Yeah, cheese and chocolate.
Yeah. Well, pretty good chocolate. I can't comment on the cheese personally. I am allergic, but there we go. So next is our guest. You know, all these guys are
just a filler
on team. Yeah, exactly. Forget them. But the main event, Dan Adam, the paint all the minis guy, is how I think of you.
No pressure, Dan.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, Dan and I have been out for a few beers from time to time when he's been visiting home. But He's here to talk about, well, paint all them in his elevator pitch. And also I thought it'd be interesting because you've got quite an interesting sort of coronavirus story while we're all sitting here closeted to greater or lesser degrees. And I imagine a lot of the guys in chat and guys and girls, are there any girls? Maybe, you never know, occasionally. Basically you were teaching in China, weren't you?
Yeah, I still am, just distance now. So yeah, I was kind of fortunate, I guess. So I was on holiday. It was Chinese New Year, so I was on holiday in Australia. And then while we were on holiday, the school kind of said, hey, we're going to shut for a couple of weeks. So, you can still come back, it's fine, but we got an extra couple of weeks. So we're like, great. So we kind of went on holiday to Vietnam. And when we were in Vietnam, they said, it's going to be another few weeks, you can still come back, but maybe you want. So we're like, we got a month. So we just came back to the UK and I'm still in the UK, seeing family in my mother-in-law's shed, as you can see around. No microphones, no kind of snazzy stuff. Just kind of sitting in a shed doing some painting. So just rolling with the punches, trying to stay laid back and trying to stay safe and follow the guidance. That's the kind of keys at the moment.
Yeah. But you weren't sort of looking at the news and thinking, oh, it looks a bit hairy back there, I'm not going to move. I'm not going to go back. We'll go to the UK only for it to follow you here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I actually went into a store, a model store, and I was a little bit unsure about what to say because I didn't have any hobby stuff because obviously you're on holiday. So I went into a hobby store and they were like, the guy kind of came over and he's like, so hey, what are you looking for today? So I was like, oh, I'm just looking for some paints. And he's like, oh, what you buying and what you playing and painting? And I was like, well, I'm actually away from my hobby stuff at the moment. So I'm just buying everything from new. And he's like, oh, where do you live? And I was like, oh, what am I going to say? Do I say that I'm from China, or do I
just
say,
cough first and then say?
Well, that's what I did. I said, oh, actually, I'm from work in China. And he literally took a big step away. And I was like, don't worry. I was like, through the incubation period, we were away from China when it all happened. But yeah, the kind of tension in the shop kind of heightened a little bit. It was a little bit crazy.
Yeah, it's a strange atmosphere out there, and from a gaming perspective, of course, we're all somewhat limited in what we can do. So I thought that would actually be quite a good thing to chat about. What's everyone doing? How are you keeping sane? What's your situation at home? Are you socially distancing? Are you actually isolating properly? What's it like where you are? Let's start with Sean.
Up on mute. At the moment, it's a little wild. Illinois was this weekend. They went on a shelter in place. Wisconsin is today, shelter in place. So that is all non-essential businesses are closed. Grocery stores, medical, things like that. That's what you can still get out to. So I'm a little in between everything, trying to figure out what comes next until my theater can start up again that I work at. So aside from that, I'll try and paint, try and keep active. There's lots of nature, so I can still get out and wander around. It's a beautiful area to be that. I'm actually lucky enough to be staying in a condo association right by the lake. So that doesn't suck. But the rest of it, not being able to get out and play physically. So I'm going to be trying a little more online stuff with friends. I know actually James and I had chatted about trying to do a long distance Arkham Horror campaign LCG game. So I'm currently in the process of convincing my girlfriend to join me on that. We played through the Dunwich Legacy before, and she was a little bit lukewarm on it. She compared to.
I absolutely love that game. It's fantastic.
Yeah, no, she's an enthusiastic board gamer generally, but I think some of the card mechanics, I think she was a little bit lost with. So she was a semi fan, and I thought, I'm probably not going to try with that one again. We'll do something else. But now, stuck looking at four walls, it seems all the more plausible. And Sean, what you're talking about is the latest one, where basically you've got there's dream time and regular time, and you can either play it as two separate campaigns concurrently with two groups of players. who then explain what happens in their games. I don't fully understand how it works, but I'm looking forward to giving that a go.
So the Dream Meters saga.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I played the first one on my end, and it's fun. Just no spiders. If anybody wants to get into it, lots and lots of spiders. If that's not
trigger warning.
And I think I was prepping for Adepticon. Like we were saying a little earlier, I had most of my terrain ready to go. Just needed to print out the scenarios and the paper assets. I was a little behind on getting miniatures painted for my demoing. So I will go ahead. I'll throw down a challenge. I will say on this quarantine, I will try and get all of my drowners finally painted, fully done, ready to go.
Awesome. And then I'll send you a whole bunch of dinos to because you need multiple duplicates, and we'll hear more about why you need multiple duplicates a little bit later. But no, I like this, and
what 12 to 15 models I got to paint here. You know,
yeah,
it's like one every 2 days. Yeah.
Easy. The other thing I think is a fun thing to remember is that we just started at the beginning of last month the kind of accountability thread on Facebook, where at the beginning of the month we make a post and give everybody the opportunity to state their monthly goal, and then at the end of the month we're gonna throw out another post, and people can post. Anybody who posted in the first one can say what did they achieve, how much of their goal did they achieve, did they nail it, did they do nothing, etc. So just a nice way of kind of accountability, everybody keeping each other honest, and you know that sort of thing about if you think it in your head, you've thought it, but when you say it out loud or you type it, you know, on Facebook in public, it's out there, it's in the real world, it's real, you have to do it.
Yeah, I'll have to take a photo for it the next time it comes up of all the things before they get painted.
That's it. So Simon, what about you? How are things? You're not too far from me, so but I think you're not quite under the same London rules yet.
I think well, it's pretty much on lockdown. You see the police driving around every now and then, just looking out their windows, making sure that you're not congregating in too many groups, and running a mile if somebody coughs too loudly. But no, I mean, I work remotely a lot of the time anyway. So however, I'm not used to the dearth of noise coming back from clients as much as is at the moment. So, yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the positive. I'm going to try and crack through some of the grey plastic mountain that I've got, and I'm under no delusions I'm going to get anywhere near to completing it. I'm going to do my best.
I think as the stir craziness sets in, we'll all find new and imaginative ways of entertaining ourselves. And what could be more unusual or imaginative than actually doing something that we all profess to love and do all of the time and don't do nearly as much of as we'd like.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going to an event or something and not playing against grey plastic or white metal. Because nobody has an excuse now to come with unpainted minis.
That's so true.
Although I'm sure we will still find some.
Yeah. So Tom, you are just the other side of the river to me. Literally just the other side. So I know the answer, but for the benefit of the general populace, how are things where you are? What's going on? How are you keeping sane?
Well, it's sanity is a questionable one, but yeah, I think it's similar for a lot of places around the UK. It's people went a bit mad. They bought loads of stuff. Then probably now have a house full of toilet paper and
a house built of toilet paper.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
Think,
it's like, and yeah, then I when I was in Switzerland, I was working from home quite a bit. So for me, it's not been too much of an adjustment. What's been an adjustment is having my kids in the house all the time, because you know, I love them to bits, but they are tearing around and they need attention all the time, and it's meant stuff like hobby time becomes a lot more of a premium. So I think there's going to be lots of people who have got all this free time and they can do all this painting, and then there's others who are like just by the end of the day going, So
yeah, I've got a whole new respect for the teachers having to homeschool my flaming 5-year-old.
yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, isn't it? So we're going to come to Dan last, and I'll do me, because I'm not too different to Tom. We both live in different parts of London, and they literally just announced the proper lockdown, which, I mean, it's a sort of soft lockdown because they're not really going to start arresting people. And I don't, but I think you might get harassed a little bit by the police if you're out and about, dawdling in large groups of people. But for us, we've actually, my girlfriend's type 1 diabetic, and we've been for the last since the beginning of last week, we've been isolating anyway. And I've just sort of been popping out to the shops and going out for a run every morning. You know, other than that, so no social activity out of the house. Nobody else in the house either. And the biggest winner of all of it, actually, my girlfriend can work from home, no problem. Her whole company declared a day after she decided she was going to, the company decided that everyone was going to work remotely. So she's sitting on my desk. She's co-opted the TV. I've got her laptop working with the TV, so she's got a big screen. And I'm just cooking a lot more. And the biggest winner really is my cat, who just doesn't know what to do with herself. She's so happy to have all this company all the time. But for me, it doesn't make any difference at all, because I work from home anyway, 24/7. The only thing is all the money I'm saving not going to restaurants and pubs. But other than that, not too much is different, actually. But having a sort of work partner is a bit like having a gym buddy. She's keeping me honest, and I'm actually finding I normally work very long hours, but I take a bunch of breaks and dawdle. And sort of, you know, work from 7 till 6, whereas now I'm not, you know, working from 7 and knocking off at 4, because, you know, I'm done. I'm just getting things done more efficiently. So that's all good. No complaints here for the moment. No stir craziness just yet. But I think it's going to be a good time for playing a lot of board games. Dan. So, well, we already know a little bit. You're in your mother-in-law's garage. Presumably you're not living there. There isn't a sleeping bag behind you, right?
She may have me in here if she could. Yeah, just kind of trying to, like I mentioned before, trying to stay a little bit laid back and stay in, you know, just aware of things. For me personally, it's not really touched me directly. So for me, it's just an inconvenience, and, you know, massive kind of goodwill to all the people that are directly kind of affected by it. But yeah, just trying to, you know, my job's completely turned on its head. So I don't work remotely. I don't work from home. So I'm actually a classroom teacher. That's what I do. So teaching online is something that's completely different, nothing that I've ever really done before. So it's been trying to see the positive of it. It's been interesting using things like this, using Zoom, you know, and the way working, and it's been quite good learning a few little tricks and things like that. And it's been great seeing all the positivity that comes out of it as well. You see, I guess we've all been doing PE with Joe this week. Has anyone of you guys been doing PE with Joe?
No.
I want to drop kick that guy.
Okay. I will ask, what is PE with Joe?
He's a YouTuber that in England that's done loads of healthy eating and fitness videos, and he's taken it upon himself. Fair play to him to basically become the PE teacher for the children of the world while they're out of school. So at 9 o'clock every morning, he does a half-hour exercise session with the kids. But you try telling a 5-year-old that he's got to do it, and you haven't.
PE with Joe. I honestly thought I heard pee with Joe.
Oh,
and some kind of communal pee that everyone is supposed to have together. I don't know. You're British.
That's an idea. You should run that. See if you can get, I think it was 2.8 million. See if you can top him.
You'd have a very, very different crowd tuning in to watch that.
It'll be like singing on the balconies, only relieving off of balconies everywhere.
I'm imagining you as like Rimmer in the crazy virus episode of Red Dwarf, where he ends up in a gingham dress with Mr. Snoofles or whoever it is. Did you ever watch Red Dwarf, Sean?
I maybe the first episode. I'll have to put that one on the list. It's always one to check back into, but I haven't yet.
Yeah, it always tickles me a little bit because it's another one of those things that's really British, but also kind of weird. And when Americans have heard of it and are sort of like cult obsessed with it, I'm like, oh wow, that's really weird.
Yeah, I may be the unusual one, but I still think sometimes the Smeg outtake ones, the videos they did were arguably as good, if not better, than the series.
Yeah.
There's nothing funnier than a fan convention with a 5-year-old boy asking what Smeg means to one of them.
Well, actually, Dan, while we're talking to you, you have come up with a cunning strategy to stave off boredom, to create a bit of positivity. There's definitely a whole bunch of negativity going on around this thing, and I personally am a big fan of trying to keep positive about these things, and do what you can. Soldier on forward and make the best of whatever situation you're faced with. So tell us what you're up to and what was your idea and what's going on.
Yeah, so I went to Salute last year, which is like a kind of UK-based, I wouldn't call it a convention. It's more like a trade show with different clubs doing demo games. In the UK, they have clubs, a lot of club centres opposed to being store-centred. So we came away from that. I say hello to you as well. You're a very big fan of Salute. But yeah, so I came away from that thinking, wow, that's great. There's a lot of positivity in the room. And with Paint All the Minis, we try and do that in the hobby community. So I came away from it thinking, wow, I really want to do something. So we've been working over the last 12 months getting something together. And I know you have too. But then it was cancelled, which is really annoying because you got all these people that are really enthusiastic, really passionate about the hobby, and they want to go and share it with other people. And that was taken away from us. And then obviously it's happened with Adepticon 2 in the US and lots of other conventions around the world. So we're trying to put together the first that I'm aware of, an online convention, which is the PATMACon, Paint All the Minis online convention, that people can just come along and hang out at and chat, and lots of people like yourself are going to come along and chat about your game, and we're going to chat to you about your game, and just generally kind of trying to rekindle that positivity, which has been taken away from us, unfortunately. So we created an online Discord server that we're going to share with everybody the day before, and it's just going to be a place that people can come and hang out and have fun and just connect with a connection that might have been potentially taken away, and even more so because we're all a bit isolated. I'm sitting in a shed and you're sitting in your front room, so it's just a way to kind of reach out again and kind of just celebrate our great hobby.
Yeah. I mean, I think it sounds fantastic. When you first started telling me about it, I didn't really need to hear much, just the general idea. I mean, in fairness, that's a little bit of belief in you as well. But I didn't really need to hear all that much about what you were planning to say, yes, definitely, we want to be a part of that. I think it sounds like a great idea. And so we are thinking about a number of different things we can do. We've got some exciting plans for your digital swag bag. We're going to we're going to make a character card for the Paint All the Minis mascot, which should be fun. But also we are going to release a special, now anybody who's not been completely under a rock will know that I have been working on an AI system for the Drowned Earth, which will be a new Kickstarter coming soon. I'm going to talk a bit more about that later. But I've thrown together a print and play scenario. In fact, 2 print and play scenarios. One as a kind of walkthrough scenario, and the other one as a full scenario. And it's AI, which means that it's completely solo and co-op. So everybody who is stuck at home self-isolating can give it a go with models they have. You can throw in some proxies. You just need a printer at home and some improvised scenery. In fact, we'll even hand out some scenery that you can print out and cut around with a pair of scissors. And as well as that, and the ability to play that solo, we are thinking of ways, perhaps not the full Drowned Earth miniatures game, that might be a little bit difficult, but thinking of ways to do it. Basically, ways to kind of play games in an interactive way over something like Zoom, something like a YouTube live cast, or Twitch, or something where we can under the banner of the convention, we can provide some kind of interactive entertainment of some kind. That's something that I'm thinking about. And the obvious answer to that is something like running an RPG session, which is, you know, sort of audience participation to some degree. You know, a group of guys like us now for an hour or a couple of hours, running a homebrew RPG session, and then, you know, taking advice from all of the audience participants. We could even have a character run by the audience, something like that. Haven't got the details worked out. These are all pie in the sky ideas at the moment, but you know, I think that's I love the idea of the online convention. I love the idea of bringing people together and creating that sense of community. I also really want to introduce some kind of interactive gaming to the whole thing as well.
I think that's a great point that you made there about interacting with people. I think we're in a time where we're not able to necessarily interact in the same ways that we would expect. And so people are just finding new ways to do different things. We mentioned the PE teacher Joe a minute ago. We won't mention him again, but it's just a new and different idea to get different people engaged. And that's in essence what Paint All These is all about. And that's why it's amazing that the Drowned Earth guys, all you guys are coming on board, because it's like, I'm really excited. It's like, what's going to happen? Like what's going to occur? And so it's really exciting just being in this chat with you guys, just hearing about the things that are going to come down the pipe. It's really interesting. And one of the biggest things as well about the convention is that there's probably lots and lots of people around the world who maybe would like to go to a convention, but for whatever reason can't, you know? So it's a way to interact with those people who might not necessarily get the opportunity anyway in a normal world, never mind this kind of lockdown world that we're in at the moment.
Well, that's something that I'm actually really interested in. I think you know, it's a great idea under the current circumstances to do something like this. And you know, if anybody in the chat at the moment has got ideas about things that we might do, I'd really love to hear them, because that one of those sort of parts of the whole ethos, really, I think, of the online convention is you know, bringing everybody together and thinking of ways to combat the situation that the world finds itself in at the moment for people who play. Let's be honest, we're all basically slightly antisocial closet introverts who, for some utterly inexplicable reason, have chosen a hobby that forces you to socially interact with other people. Yeah, I wonder whether something like the online convention won't have legs even after this whole viral pandemic thing is over and we're all out and about in our normal way of doing things. And I think the idea of connecting with people who because of their location, because of any kind of disability, or any kind of other problems, anxiety or whatever, finds conventions difficult to go to generally. I wonder whether even when we don't have any particular reason to have an online convention, it won't just be an idea that catches on because it'll be fun.
Yeah, it's just interesting to find out. That's the thing, is like I've not got any preconceived ideas or some set agenda about what it needs to be. We're just trying to put something together this year that gives people an opportunity to have a positive feeling and a positive experience. And if different people can pick it up and take it in a different direction or whatever, then all the better. It's just about, you know, finding new ways. I mean, for example, in here, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to speak to any of you if we hadn't have been doing this. So it's already served its purpose in many regards. So
I think for anybody who's watching at the moment, the question is, when is it? How do you attend? How do you get a ticket? What's the deal?
So it's on the 11th to the 13th of April. So it's purposely over Easter weekend, because that's usually quite a big weekend to see family, a big weekend to be kind of doing lots of sociable things, what you might not necessarily be able to do. And also with the online nature, it's something that you can dip in and out of. So it's something that you can be there for the whole 3 days. You can be there for just one day. And a lot of the content is going to be recorded on there. So if you're interested in finding out more about it, you can go to paintalltheminis.com / Pat Mocon, PATMOCON 2020. Just go to the Paint All the Minis website and click through and you'll be able to find out more about it. I think you alluded to it before. We've got a digital swag bag So there's going to be some great Drowned Earth stuff in there. We've also got some potential convention specials, as you mentioned, that you can like kind of head along. So that's something that people quite like about conventions sometimes, is kind of seeing what the specials are on there and getting themselves a little bit of a better deal. And also the most important thing is the interaction, is that you guys are going to be there, so you're able to speak to all these people that have created lots of great experiences within a Drowned Earth, and yeah, so you'll have your own channel for the 48 hours. So yeah, paintallmeans.com/PatMcCon 2020, and you can read a little bit more about it in your own time.
Easter weekend, yeah, because of course normally when somebody says Easter weekend to me for an event, you know, that's the knell of doom. I can just see my mother saying, "You're not coming for Easter weekend." What? You know, not gonna happen in my life. There's a 3-line whip. I'm an only child. But yeah, of course, my parents are in their 70s. One of them's diabetic, the other one has a heart condition, and you know, and so the last thing I want to do is murder them by infecting them. Yeah, we're definitely not doing Easter, so everyone's going to be sitting around twiddling their thumbs, right?
Yeah, and it falls nicely between Adepticon and also Salute. So those are the two biggest things that I'm aware of that have been unfortunately taken away. And I think I mentioned there about the online nature. So we've created a whole Discord server, especially for the event. The majority, if not all, of the content is going to be recorded and placed on the individual channels. So it's something you can pop along to an hour for, and then move away, and then you can go back for another couple of hours, and then come back. We kind of just thought about all the positive things that you get from a convention. And then maybe some of the potential negatives that you get from a convention, and trying to, you know, enhance the positive ones and alleviate some of the negatives. I know that when I go to conventions, it's always like a kind of crazy, high-paced, high energy, got to go and see this person, got to go and see that person. And I know that when I dropped in to see you at Salute, it was crazy busy. There's people everywhere. You really want to talk. You really want to say hello, but, you know, it's just crazy busy. So just having that online event where you can just go and put a quick question, you can maybe go and nip somewhere else, you can go into a different area and then come back once your question has been answered. It kind of just slows that experience down a little bit and gives you a little bit more control, maybe to think about what you're going to say before you say it, to say it, and then you don't necessarily have to wait around for a response. So we're hoping that it kind of fulfills a purpose for people and things. So I know that when I met you for the first time, I was a little bit unsure about what to say. It's like, does he know who he is, who I am? Is he tired? Is he grumpy? Is he going to make? So it gives a a different spin on things, which I'm excited to see how it works out.
Well, I mean, I've got every confidence that it's going to work out really well. And I think exactly what you said about the conventions have advantages that you can emulate, but there are also some disadvantages that having this in an online format completely negate. So I think it's great that you've sort of thought all of that through. And I definitely, well, the other thing is, I mean, you know, let's talk about the platform from which you've launched this, because I guess there might be some people watching this who don't know what Paint All the Minis is. I do, because I was one of your first guests, wasn't I?
Yeah,
back in the day.
Yeah, so it's really interesting story. So I need to go right the way back. So I'm not like, I didn't play tabletop games as a kid. It was something I came to as an adult. So I came to it as an adult, and it was a really interesting experience for me to kind of figure out what it was. And I kind of connected with a few people who, they were wildly different. You've got a whole bunch of competitive players, which is amazing. You've got a whole bunch of hobbyists, which is equally amazing. You've got people that fall between the two, and you've got people that are really big lore people. And that's why I love the Drowned Earth so much, is the lore and the depth of the story. So it's just so deep and interesting. So I just wanted to connect with those different people. So Paint All Me started just as a Facebook group, just trying to connect local people. It was when I was living in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I think it started with 7 people. And it was just a way for us to connect outside of games, and just to hang out really, and just be like, hey, I painted this, or hey, I've got a question about this rule or something. And what very quickly became apparent is that there was just so many amazing people that wanted to hang out. So it kind of grew and developed, and we kind of got into the hundreds, and then we got into the kind of more than hundreds, and knocking on the door of thousands. And then the podcast all started up. So I created a podcast, the Paint All the Minis Paint Ramble. Simply because there was just loads of amazing stories. There's just the, you know, we're all sitting in completely different places. You know, some people in America, some people in London, some people, and it's weird how we're all just doing the same kind of thing. but we've got completely different ways that we got into it and completely different thoughts about it. So basically, it's a kind of 45-minute to an hour and a half max chat with loads of different people. And as I started playing games, I started realizing that the people behind the games, you don't really get a light shone on them so much, which is a real shame, because we live in an age of celebrity where there's so many people who possibly don't contribute much, but are always in our face, always on the front of magazines. So it was an opportunity to speak to people like yourself and just be like, wow, like what did you do to create this game? Because there was lots of opportunities, no doubt, in your background where the Drowned Earth could have just been shelved and might have been shelved for a year or a couple of months, or it was just an idea, but you did stuff that made it happen. And to me, that's interesting. It's a human story. It's a story that's interesting. And so it's just an opportunity to chat to someone like yourself for an hour and a half, and just put it on in the background whilst you're painting or doing whatever, and just hear a great story about someone within the hobby that we really like. And so everything that we've done is always has been about sharing and generating goodwill and positivity. From the very first 7 members, it was just, hey, I've painted a model. And someone else was like, hey, that's great. Or this is a model that I've been doing. And we're trying to follow that thread right the way through, from the page, the website, the podcast, the content that we do. We've put together quite a lot of Drowned Earth videos and playthroughs and unboxings and things, amongst another couple of games. And so this convention is just another extension of that. It's just about trying to make sure that people have got an opportunity, people have got a platform to have a positive experience about this hobby that is amazing.
Yeah, no, as you know, I'm a big fan of all of that. And I think one of the things that I like about it in particular is there are lots of Facebook groups for painting and, you know, just sort of sharing pictures of your models, and general, you know, communities that surround YouTube channels and things like that. And they're all great, and they all do, you know, excellent things for the hobby and bring people together. But I think you're one of the only ones that I can think of with a real ethos behind what you're doing. You know, you're doing it in a very, very reasoned and measured and thoughtful way. And it shows. And, you know, when I was on the podcast just before the Kickstarter, 3 years ago, I think there were about 400 or 500 members of the Facebook page, something like that. And now how many are there? Nearly 10,000, right?
Yeah, 10,000. Yeah. And I think you're saying there, it's the personal touch. It's like, I'm not. It's no negativity towards anything else, but I think a lot of groups that I was a part of, it was created because a lot of the groups that I was a part of celebrated like the best competitive player, the best painter, the person that knew all of the lore of all of the different factions, of all the different things. But there was no one kind of looking out for like the middle ground, like me, like just the dude in the middle. I like a little bit of this, I like a little bit of that. I've got a job, I've got a profession. I can't necessarily dedicate all my time to that. So it's just celebrating like individuals on their own journeys at whatever level that is. And so, you know, you just talk on the page and it's like, hey, I just did a thing, and we celebrate the individual story and that individual journey, and because we're all human beings at the end of the day, you know, and it's just great to just be part of other people's journeys, and you bob into someone else's journey and you dip out of someone else's journey, and it's just great to just have that area. And the biggest ethos is, like I said, just having that positive experience, and there's loads of amazing games, and there's loads of amazing people that make amazing games, and it's just, you know, about, you know, sharing that as we see.
And so if anybody wants to check out the podcast, where do they go for that?
It's on any different platform. I think you just type in Paint All the Minis Paint Ramble. It's on all sorts. It keeps on. People have just started putting it on different things. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple. It's on all the usual podcast places. Yeah, so it's just a relaxed chat with a wide variety of different people. I'm going into the
well, I mean, you've had some pretty amazing guests. I mean, other than me, of course. I mean, like people that are actually genuinely famous. So you know. No,
you've signed your first autograph, James. You've signed your first autograph book now, mate.
Yeah, that is true. But come on, Dan, drop some glamorous names. Who have you had on?
Well, there's Mr. J Baldwin, obviously. You know, it's I have to mention that one right there. No, a massive variety of different people, from kind of ex-GW luminaries, you know, Rick Priestley, Andy Chambers, from some of the fluff writers, Graham McNeil, Justin Hill, Gav Thorpe, those guys. Sean Sutter from Relic Blade. Honestly, just a massive variety. The job was to just kind of speak to a wide variety of different people from lots of different walks. And so again, it's not about celebrating this person because they've done that. I'm not speaking to the name, I'm speaking to the person. So we've had rules writers, we've had the chief story writer for the Warhammer Total War games, loads, just loads of people, and average Joes, loads of average Joes like myself, and we do a wide variety of different ones. There's some silly ones that are called on geeking, where I chat about geeking on geeking. We come up with silly game titles, or the game it should have been. One we did recently was the game it should have been. So we took game titles and completely redefined the synopsis of that. So Warhammer 40K, for example, we redefined the kind of how that game would be. And yeah, just anything that kind of tickles my interest and fancy at the time. And some of the best ones that I've done have been completely out of left field, where I've just spoken to someone who I didn't really know at the time, but they've just got an amazing story. It's the story that's in the background, So pretty much any game that you can think of that we've played in the tabletop world, I've kind of spoken to those people that do magazines, people that write rules, people that paint, people that are just like you and me, So yeah, a massive variety, but Mr. J. Baldwin will always remain top.
Awesome. I mean, you're fanning the flames here. Be careful. Last topic of conversation, because I think we're about time to. It's about time we sort of wound things up. Firstly, has anybody else got anything that they're desperate to say, desperate to talk about? Anything picking up on anything we talked about previously?
No, I'm looking forward to Paint All the Minis Con. I think it's going to be a great way of bringing people together in a modern format and trying to alleviate the cabin fever that we're probably all going to suffer from in the next few weeks.
Absolutely. I mean, I think there's been a lot of negativity, and it's really one of the things that I love about Dan and Paint All the Minis generally, and the idea of this convention is just the injection of positivity. I mean, I was watching just the other day, I won't name names because it's actually a guy that I have quite a lot of respect for and I think does great things for the hobby, but a YouTuber who if I have a criticism, it's the hugely clickbaity titles of all of the videos. But I watched a video and it was about the sort of coronavirus and how it'll affect the hobby. And wow, it was a really depressing video, and it was just really negative, and I don't, like really overly dramatic. And it's like, come on, there's not what you need at times like this, unless you personally have a reason to feel really downtrodden. We should all be trying to keep positive, because that's all you can do in times like this.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I think also, like you touched on it, Dan, the beauty of what the stuff you do already, and I think it's going to be extended in this convention, is you're going to realize that these big names in the industry, they're normal people, and it's you don't have some God-given talent to be able to work in the industry or to take part in the industry. I think that's some of the best interviews are the ones where you realize they're just normal people.
You do have to be slightly mad, I think. It probably helps.
Well, yeah, a little bit of unhinged doesn't help. It goes a long way, doesn't it?
So anyway, I said I was going to also make an announcement, and there's nothing too far out there. And of course, a lot of people I think already know that we've been preparing a Kickstarter, and I really want to announce a date, because I have a date in my mind, but of course this whole chaos that's been going on lately makes it a little bit difficult to commit to that, and so I don't really want to say anything. I was planning on it being quite soon, let's put it like that. But the announcement that I've got, I just want to talk about it a little bit, and I know some of you guys know a little bit about it already, and some others have got some questions. But basically what we've found in working through different iterations of the AI system. So the Kickstarter is for a fully cooperative and even solo mode of playing the game and playing an extended sort of dungeon crawler style campaign. But the game really, although at its heart, it still has the same core mechanics as the Drowned Earth. It's a simplified version of it. And the reason for that is to make room rules-wise for all of the AI parts of the game. But really, I think we've begun to think of it as a different and separate game, which is backwards compatible with the Drowned Earth, but can be considered a separate entity. And really, there's no reason why you would ever need to have played the Drowned Earth in order to play this. And if you start playing this, then actually it's kind of a soft entry. It won't be very difficult for you to then learn the full rules to play the Drowned Earth. And obviously some things are different. There are some constraints. The board size is different. And you know, in order to create the AI rules, we've done some stuff. But basically what we're talking about at this stage is a second title, which is kind of like a sister game to the Drowned Earth, probably the best way to explain it. But that at the same time is backwards compatible and the components are usable in both games.
I think that sounds really cool. It's something that's really interesting. It's something that really appeals to me. I'm a big advocate of what I call sustainable gaming. So anything that gives me the opportunity to maybe brush up on some things in my spare time on my own, playing solo. If the person you're playing with drops out or you can't get a game, just you're still able to interact with the world. You're able to interact with the minis and the idea of it. And then when you can pick up that game, even better. So I think it'll add a lot of depth and a lot of interest to lots of new people.
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously talked about it a lot, James, and we've done some play tests, and the sort of things that we would discuss. It's a great standalone game in its own right, but it's also like an amazing gateway game to get into the bigger Drowned Earth. And let's be honest, tabletop gaming can be quite a big leap for people that have never done something like it before. Board gamers, computer gamers. And I think this is going to be a great way of bringing in your friends, your family who've never done tabletop gaming into the world, and then it's not much of a step on to go into full tabletop gaming with Drowned Earth. Kind of think of it similar to like the Hare's Vegan board game that Mantic brought out. It's a great game in its own right, but it's also a fantastic stepping stone to playing the full Walking Dead game.
Right. Yeah, I own it. I own both of them and haven't played either. It's terrible.
Can you see the shock in my face?
Yeah. Because of course you don't have a wall of shame either, definitely. But yeah, I think we're all familiar with that. It's just way easier to buy something than it is to actually get it to table. But no, what you say is absolutely true. I think one of the design goals for the current system, all right, the announcement is the title. The title of this campaign is Raptor Claw Island, but the umbrella, my idea is that this new game, effectively new game system that we have based on the Drowned Earth, simplified version of it, but with AI and cooperative, is going to be, I hope after this Kickstarter, there'll be a family of titles. So this one is Raptor Claw Island, and the overarching title of the AI system for the game is Ulaya Chronicles. And I hope that this will be the first of a number of Ulaya Chronicles where we'll release new campaigns, new stories, new content, new dino types, that sort of thing. So it'll expand as it goes. But at the same time, this box that we're selling at Kickstarter, and that hopefully we'll make more of with different themes, different stories, different campaigns later down the line, will contain a bunch of content, both physical components, but also rules, which you can use in regular Drowned Earth as well, in order to bring in AI NPC dinosaurs in the middle of your games. And I'm hoping that will give us an opportunity to create a bunch of regular Drowned Earth scenarios that are based around the fact of these AI mechanics that we've introduced. So you're raiding a tomb that's guarded by Utahraptors, for example, and both of you are trying to do it. Both of you are going at the same time. The dinosaurs will attack both of you or either of you. Perhaps there are some tactical ways for you to weaponize those dinosaurs and make them attack your opponent and not you. These are all the sorts of things that we're thinking about and working on at the moment.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I certainly hope it will be. As I say, I'd really love to announce a date, because we're pretty close to being able to launch, but it just might not be the best time for everybody's wallets. Might not be the best time for manufacturing and fulfillment and those sorts of things. So I sort of feel like I need to get a better gauge on how this is really, because it's still early days, right? We've been cooped up for a couple of weeks now, not even. But in a month's time, we'll get an idea of how the world is responding to this whole crisis. Whether people are bored at home and really want some co-op and solo games. I've certainly been sitting working with my hand hovering over some board game websites, thinking, shall I buy another round of Arkham Horror, the card game? I mean, I can think of some more. There are campaign that I haven't played yet that I quite like the idea of, etc. And it's really hard to say whether people are going to really need cheering up and entertaining, or whether people are going to really start concentrating or thinking about different things. So ultimately, we want to do what's best for the future of the game, being sensitive to whatever the sort of geopolitical situation is. Okay, so any more before we wind up? Any more questions on the Kickstarter? Anything you're dying to know? We can take questions from the audience as well in the chat. I know there's a bit of a time delay in the chat, so we'll have to wait a few minutes to see those. But throw them at me if you've got them. Nobody?
I've got one while we wait for that. Oh, go ahead, Sean.
Whoa.
the only question I'd seen, and I was trying to help, is James, if you could throw up the link for the Paint All the Minis convention on the description for this video afterwards.
Oh yeah. We'll drop it into.
Well.
That's a good idea, Dan. If you email me all the relevant links, I'll drop them in the description of this video, because it's a live video, but it'll stay on our channel indefinitely. Cool. I think you're muted, Dan.
Yeah, no problem at all. I'll share that across. Yeah.
Excellent. Good. So I think that might conclude this evening. We are going to, not necessarily with the same lineup. I realize people have got other commitments and things like that, but we're going to try and keep these weekly for the foreseeable, to keep everybody sort of entertained and engaged, and really try and give everyone, I hope, one of the things that I love the most about having designed the game and running the game company and what have you, is the sense of community that it's built, both in the Facebook group and in things like these YouTube events, etc. It's always really gratifying to see. It's lovely to see. While everybody's been cooped up, there's definitely been an explosion of look at what I painted posts on Facebook, which has also been great to see. So yeah, we're going to be doing these, I think, on a weekly basis. I think we're about to have an visitor. My cat is looking threateningly like she's going to jump on me, which will make great content. Other than that, I think we're done, aren't we, guys?
Yeah, I think so. I'll be honest. When you said you were going to make a big announcement, I thought you were going to announce that there'd been a change to the Pierce and Rend names. Yeah, that's massive.
No, that's yeah. So, all right, quickly, if anybody's watching that's been wondering about that, I have totally it's been on my to-do list to make that announcement, but it involves recompiling the profile cards in order to do it, and repackaging the free download of the rulebook. And I'm right in the middle of Kickstarter stuff at the moment, designing the game, doing the graphic design, etc. And so I just haven't had the time. It takes about a day and a half to do those tasks. They're unfortunately not trivial. But yes, I have been meaning to make that announcement, but I'm waiting to make the announcement for when I've actually got the content uploaded to the website for people to download. But yeah, from now on, everybody got Pierce and Rend confused. So we are changing the name of Rend to Sunder. That's that one. Yeah, we'll be talking about that sometime soon when I've got a spare afternoon. You'd think being cooped up in the house all the time, I'd have lots of free time. But after about 11 hours of banging my head against, designing tokens, the last thing in the world I have the energy to do is get onto Adobe InDesign and start trying to recompile the rule book again. But it's coming.
Awesome.
Excellent. All right, well, guys, thank you very much. Dan, thank you in particular. I hope everybody will head along with us to Paint All the Minis. We're gonna do what we can to really make it an exciting and interesting event. And I know we are far from the only game company. You've got some really big games coming. I think Mantic Games also attending. You've got Moonstone. You've got Dan. Do you want to do a run through of some of the other games? I'm not a jealous lover.
Yeah, we got Mantic, Steamforged, Blacksite Studios, Knuckle Duster Miniatures. We've got loads of different ones people can go across. But yeah, I think the main thing is that feeling we look to evoke and espouse because of it, and finding out more about your AI is something that I'm really interested and excited about. Checking out the new card for the Paint All These mascot is something that I'm really excited about, and I think it's just rekindled a little bit of that Christmas Eve feeling for me. That's the biggest thing about it. It's like, I was looking forward to Salute, and then that got taken away, and it's a little bit like Christmas Eve for me. It's like, what's Santa going to bring me? So I'm really excited to see what you guys have got planned. It's going to be really great.
I'm not going to tell you anything about the profile card other than the fact that I was sitting on the loo thinking about it today with a pad of paper. But I've definitely got some rules ideas that we need to do a quick play test of to make sure they're not completely broken. But I'm going to leave you all with that mental image. That's how you design games. Sit on the loo and think. Excellent, guys. Thanks so much for being a part of this. And we will see each other and the audience as well, no doubt, next week.
Cheers, guys.
Yep. Thanks so much.
See you later. See you around the convention, maybe.